shopgear.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's another edition of the TTRP with your host, Pat G. The G stands for Gangster. And of course, I'm joined by no longer guest host. He's now a semi-regular host, and that's one Sergeant Fury.
I'm semi-regular, and we all know how I love to keep a semi. How's it going today, Pat G? I'm up on my microphone in the den of fury, ready to unload on the internet wrestling community and for all ears listening.
Yes, and it's going to be a very much unload on the IWC, which is the internet wrestling community, not the promotion that's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But the IWC, the internet wrestling community, once again, is a reason that a lot of things have changed in wrestling over the last decade or so. And prime example of this was last week, of course, WWE had their Raw reunion, bringing back the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon and Diesel, so on and so forth. But there was one man that had the offer but turned it down, even though he had the blessing of the company he works for now. And that's good old JR, Jim Ross. Jim Ross was offered a chance to come to the Raw reunion. He had the blessing of Tony Khan, who is the owner of AEW, basically. And Tony Khan's like, I'm a wrestling fan. You want to do this? Go. Jim Ross turned down it mainly because he believed that if he showed up on Raw reunion, that people on the internet would have taken it like oh no, there's trouble in paradise at AEW. Jim Ross has gone back to the big machine WWE. And Jim Ross was like, no, that's not the case. I wanted to set a standard to these guys, these young guys in the locker room that, granted, yes, you may have made your name somewhere else, but you don't always have to go back there just out of respect.
You know, and kudos to Jim Ross, because Jim would have gotten a payday from it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Let's be honest, he would have gotten a check. He would have gotten a few minutes of airtime. You know, he would have gotten the opportunity to be on a highly rated episode of Monday Night Raw. You know, it'd be probably part of the beer bash at the end. But Jim is, in my estimation, in my opinion, 100% right. You know, you should be proud of the company you work for. You know, you shouldn't be seen on the competition. In fact, you know, you look at it, and it was cool of Tony Khan first and foremost to be like, yeah, it's Raw reunion. You were the voice of Monday Night Raw. You were the voice of wrestling. Go do it. But Jim wants to show them, be proud of the company you work for, and I think he set a pretty cool precedence. I mean, how shocked was everyone that Rob Van Dam showed up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, within an hour, the Rob Van Dam memes, popped up where it's like, when you're so high, you forget that you're on the wrong show when you show up to Raw instead of Impact. It's like, there would have been 1,000 Jim Ross memes right off the rip. Like, yeah. You must be paying him real well if he's taking a Vince McMahon check, huh?
Yeah, and Jim Ross, he addressed this on the latest Grilling JR, which is the podcast he does with Conrad Thompson, who, on a side note, I would sell a kidney, a rib, an arm, a leg, whatever, to be in the position that Conrad Thompson is in.
I know. Every single time he gets a co-host, though, WWE buys them back. Like,
that's true. That is true. That is true. But he was on Grilling JR, and he got asked the question, and he said, he's like, he didn't turn it down in anger, or he refused, or he's like, he appreciated the opportunity to come back to Tampa and see all his buddies and so forth, but there were a couple of things that led to the decision. And like he said, the main thing for him was if he had gone, there'd be a certain segment of the social media society, aka the internet wrestling community, that would have been like, there's trouble in paradise. JR's looking to bail already. He's back flirting with WWE. Something's wrong in AEW, which is not the case.
No.
Because he's like, I have a great relationship with Tony Khan. Tony said, if you want to go to Raw Union, I think you should go to the Raw Union if you want to. And then that's when he started thinking about it and the approach. And he's like, the trouble in paradise. And then he's like, looking at it, he's like, talking about there's a lot of kids who are in the back that are trying to learn how to do what we do from being somewhat of a hidden or not mass appeal indie star to going to that next level and being on TV and being a weekly star TV and whatnot. And he's like, he didn't want to send the message of okay, I'm going to go back to WWE for this one-off, for one night stand, a quick payday, whatever, when he's at AEW going, you're a cohesive unit, we're preaching teamwork, we're preaching unity, and so on and so forth.
And not just that, but you're absolutely right. Like, you have this brand new company that Vince is taking extremely seriously. That's part of the discussion we're going to have with this too. Yeah, like by all accounts, Vince McMahon is no longer fucking around. You don't, and we discussed this on the last podcast you and I had. You don't bring back Bischoff and Paul Heyman, whose effects you can tell already on both Raw and SmackDown, and their creative input. Just being honest, you can tell already, and I like it. You can see that SummerSlam is building up to be a pretty damn decent show. Once again, Vince is taking this threat seriously because, on October 2nd, on a Wednesday at 8 p.m. on TNT, wrestling returns.
Yep.
And they're going to Washington, D.C., which, Vince's territory would go from, Maine to Baltimore, and then Baltimore down was Crockett territory. So you're going back to the Crockett territory to sell a show, which tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but they will, and they'll probably.
They actually went on sale today.
They went on sale today? Are they almost sold out?
What I haven't checked, but I know I believe they went on sale today.
Okay. I mean, this is going to be a big fucking deal. And Vince is taking it seriously. So yeah, I can see where that would almost be like, let's go back to this heralded Monday Night War era. This would be like Vince McMahon having a Raw anniversary episode, like a big hoop-de-hoo, and having fucking Hulk Hogan show up.
Oh, absolutely.
WCW. It's like, really? Like, why? Why would you do that? And I know that people are going to be like, well, you're comparing fucking Jim Ross to Vince McMahon. You're right, I'm comparing Vince McMahon, I'm comparing Hulk Hogan to Jim Ross because Jim Ross is the greatest commentator of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, it would show like, well, why is he coming over here to take a WWE payday if AEW and all that is paying him all this money? If you want to be a legitimate business, your loyalty by your employees is number one. That's not just wrestling. That's like all fucking aspects of life.
Absolutely, and that's business in general because you're not gonna if you're say in the sense of like say the Netflix versus Hulu debate or all these streaming services. You have Netflix and you have Hulu and you have this and that. Like all these rights and everything, you're now getting to the thing of Netflix is starting to lose the rights to certain shows because the networks that these shows were on and had made their name on are realizing that, hey, we can have our own streaming service and have this show and not pay anyone else to distribution it. It's the same thing with wrestling. Jim Ross is like, listen, I'm in AEW. I'm trying to make AEW the best product that it can be. Now, why am I going to go back to the company that I used to work for? That, granted, yes, I made my name, so on and so forth, for not knowing what they were going to want me to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, would have
looking like shit.
Yeah, would Raw reunion be great if one of the matches was called by JR and King? Oh, absolutely. That would be a mark out moment for a lot of people. But this is the thing. In the age of the internet wrestling community, you have two separate groups. I've looked at it and I feel like you have two separate groups. You have the group that is the 18 to 34 crowd that is now, that has grown up within the PG era of WWE. And then you have that former 18 to 34 crowd, which includes me and you, that grew up on the late 80s into that limbo area where it was technical smaller guys into the Attitude Era. And the thing is now because of the WWE Network, that younger group that grew up in the PG era, the John Cena's and all that, sees how it was back during the Attitude Era days. Granted, yes, a lot of the content on the network, and as far as the Monday Night War and Attitude Era days, is very direct WWE, but they can see it because you can see all the shows of WCW and ECW because they own the footage. And you look at that and go, hey, why can't we have that? That was cool. And it's got to a point where the internet wrestling community nowadays it ruins wrestling a lot. There's the quote unquote cliche statement that kayfabe is dead. Honestly, to a very direct statement, yes, kayfabe is dead because you have social media. You can access and you can talk and you can post opinions and you can even say anything to think. Case in point, the situation with Renee Young over the weekend.
Oh, where people flat out were like, she sucks at commentary, she fucking needs to quit.
Yep.
And then she addressed them directly and was like, oh, so I'm trying to learn how to be better, but I should just quit and not fucking try. It's like, first off, in defense of Renee Young, okay, not only does she have to not only does she have Michael Cole, who's the head commentator, telling them how to commentate, she's got Vince McMahon in her fucking ears. And she's got a producer in her ears telling her the nuances of the stories. There's got to be at least 10 or fucking 15 voices in that fucking headset trying to talk. It's not like the good old days where you had fucking Vince sitting right next to you and you guys just talked and did shit. It's like, if you go back and you read Countdown to Lockdown, the Mick Foley book, where Mick Foley talks about, in a very comical way, what it's like being on the headset on a WWE show.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you think that's changed since, that book was written? Fuck no. It's probably 1,000 times worse because now you have to plug every bit of social media. You have to plug the network. You have to plug
sponsors.
Shows on this day. You have to plug fucking Saudi Arabia blood money shows. You have to fucking avoid the fact that your husband is the first man to hold the United States Championship in both WWE and New Japan. Oh, and just ignore the fact that he exists. Period.
Yep.
For the sake of your fucking job, probably. Other than, like, her social media, which I'm sure maybe she gets slapped in the fucking hand about one or two posts there. But for the most part, it's like she's in one hell of a precarious position.
She is.
It's her job. And here you have these fucking dirt monkeys who've never fucking done shit, who sit in their fucking trailer on their goddamn laptops bitching about the bygone era of professional wrestling that was not all that great. Okay, for every one good Attitude Era Monday Night War moment, there was a fuck ton of bullshit. Anyone who tries to sell me differently, for every Stone Cold on a beer truck, there was Mae Young giving birth to a hand. For every Goldberg winning the title in the fucking George Georgia Dome?
Yep.
There was goddamn DDP and Sting and Kevin Nash winning the title back and forth in fucking North Dakota. Okay? You guys need to let go of that shit. Move the fuck on. You live in a fucking phenomenal time to be a wrestling fan. Harassing someone who's trying to do their job to the best of their ability and even better because they actually give a fuck about your opinion, it's both great and sad at the same time.
Oh.
Great that someone listens and wants to get better at their fucking job. But it's goddamn sad that instead of going out and getting pussy or fucking achieving something like maybe getting a fucking bachelor's in radio, television, communications at Full Sail Arena where they fucking have courses to become WWE commentators, for fuck's sake. Instead of that shit, you guys are sitting there fucking downing a woman who literally has probably one of the fucking worst jobs other than a manual masturbator of racehorses.
Not to mention, if you look at Renee Young literally started as a backstage interviewer. At NXT, mind you, not on one of the main shows. At NXT, went from backstage interviewer at NXT to SmackDown, then to Raw. Then she because of her talent and everything, got the opportunity to host the pre-show for Raw, the pre and post shows for Raw and SmackDown. Got to host Talking Smack. Got to host the pre-shows for the pay-per-view. Put in more time and effort here and there, and then finally got a spot to commentate the first ever women's pay-per-view in Evolution, and then after that, finally got to be Monday Night Raw as the first woman to ever be on the commentary team.
Yeah.
After 4, maybe 5 years of just going in, doing her job, learning to get better every day.
And you have to take into consideration, this is the age that we live in, where The Undertaker has an Instagram account.
That right there shows you how much social media and the internet has changed wrestling, because the main story for The Undertaker is Undertaker never did interviews. Undertaker never went out in public because he was The Undertaker. He was the gimmick 24/7.
Now he posts pictures of his workout foods and where you can buy them and hashtags.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to say that again in slow motion. The Undertaker uses hashtags. For fuck's sake, I don't see any fucking crusty upper lip bitch being like, yeah, fucking Undertaker's eating that fucking expensive ass food. It didn't help Russell Goldberg, did it, bitch? No, because you wouldn't say that to someone like The Undertaker, but you've got balls enough to say it to someone like Renee Young. For fuck's sake, get over yourself. I have to agree with another maven of fucking the internet wrestling community, a fucking darling, if you will. CM Punk.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be brutally honest. He's got it. I've seen his post on Twitter being like, I don't talk about pro wrestling. I try and talk about movies. I try and talk about comic books. I try and talk about hockey. But all you people seem to do is bitch about pro wrestling. It's like, if it's that bad, stop watching it.
Exactly. And this is the thing. It's very funny because my Twitter feed generally is full of baseball. It's full of baseball, it's full of wrestling, it's full of sports generally. And there's very few actual movie and entertainment stuff on there because everything else gets drowned out by everything else.
Yeah.
But to sit and read your Twitter, you literally could watch an episode of Raw, and the amount of opinions of so many people watching Raw or a pay-per-view, it's not like you can do any better. If you don't like it, stop watching it. Because truth be told, Raw Reunion was the first time that I had watched a Monday Night Raw from start to finish in 4 months.
I went to Monday Night Raw the night after Money in the Bank.
Okay.
Okay? All right? I went with my trainer who got the tickets from a dude who won them. And he got them for the grand total price of a Philly cheesesteak. Okay? He gave this dude a Philly cheesesteak. And I got some pretty dang tickets to Monday Night Raw. There came a few moments, more than a few moments, at a live Monday Night Raw where I was fucking bored. That was the night that Ricochet and Cesaro had that dank match.
Yep.
Fucking great. The main event was like Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins versus...
Yeah, it was the night... Yeah, it was Kofi and Rollins versus like Corbin and somebody else.
McIntyre.
Okay,
McIntyre.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. The man had the segment on the Moment of Bliss thing where they did the 3-on-3 tag team match. Yeah, whatever. Okay, it was not an exciting Monday Night Raw. Okay, the Albany crowd was there. It just was not an exciting show. The stuff I've seen the last couple weeks is getting better. But the problem that I think everyone has right now is, and we've discussed it a little bit, let me ask you a question, Pat G.
All right.
What's your favorite food? Of all time.
Of all time?
Of all time. If I had to say, Pat G, what's your favorite food?
Chicken parm.
Okay. Name the best restaurant you've gotten a chicken parm from.
It probably would be the Winking Lizard in Cleveland.
Okay, Winking Lizard. Shout out to the Winking Lizard. Okay, send us a parm. Which leads me to this thing. Every Monday night, the Winking Lizard gives you a hot, fresh chicken parm.
Yep.
The best chicken parm you've ever eaten. Every Monday night. For the rest of over fucking 25 years now, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay? For the rest of your fucking life, you're going to get a dank-ass chicken parm. Right?
Yep.
After a while, on Monday night, your ass is going to want chicken wings. Okay?
Yep.
But the problem is although that is the dankest chicken parm you've ever had, once you eat that plate of fresh chicken wings, you're going to be like, man, that chicken parm kind of sucks. But you're going to go back and you're going to have it the next Monday. But then you're going to be like, man, this fucking chicken parm, the cheese isn't melted like it used to be. The roll isn't fresh like it used to be. It's not all crispy like it was. The marinara, it's getting sweeter, or it's getting duller, or it's getting bitterer. It's just not, even though you just admitted the best chicken parm you ever had was from the Winking Lizard in Ohio.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Winking Lizard. You're still going to bitch about that fucking chicken parm. I would bitch about my favorite fucking food from my favorite fucking restaurant, okay? It's human nature. Because when you are given options, and pro wrestling fans are given so many options these days.
They are.
We have discussed it.
You have WWE, you have AEW, you have ROH, you have Impact, and trust me,
New Japan.
While Impact may not be on a regular cable network that a lot of people may have, you have YouTube. So I'm like, that's how I keep up with Impact. Is like their YouTube channel. Every week they have a breakdown of their shows, and then they show you the top 5 highlights of that weekly show. So I keep up with Impact through that. You have New Japan Pro Wrestling that right now their G1 Climax is going on, that freaking they're reestablishing the man that used to be Hideo Itami, Kenta, as, hey, this dude's a strong style badass.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Jon Moxley is running around in not jeans and having amazing freaking matches. And
that's the thing that, we're we're spoiled. We're spoiled kids. This generation of kids that has come up, like, we had the dark ages of the internet where, like, you had message boards. We had a cool thing. We had 3 promotions going at it, swapping talent and all that other shit.
Yeah.
But now you have evolved shows on the WWE network, for fuck's sake. You have ICW being spotlighted on Finn Balor documentaries. You have fucking Progress Pro Wrestling people stepping on the WWE United Kingdom Championship.
Yep.
You have all of this shit going on, all this insane shit, and you want to bitch about Monday Night Raw? Okay, I have a fucking challenge for you. On Monday nights, go back and watch an episode of Monday Night Raw from 1994.
Oh,
Do
God.
it. I'm throwing down the punk card. Okay? I want you to, instead of watching Monday Night Raw tonight, or whenever it's on next, this upcoming Monday when this podcast is released, instead of watching Monday Night Raw in the lead up to SummerSlam, I want you to go back to 1994 and watch the lead up to SummerSlam 94 on the WWE Network, where it was Undertaker versus Undertaker. Okay? I want you to watch one of those Monday Night Raws and tell me just how fucking shitty Monday Night Raw has been lately, with Brock Lesnar holding the title, with fucking Becky Lynch holding the title. By the time this podcast drops, the fucking Good Brothers are gonna have the fucking title. AJ Styles has the United States Championship. It's like the 24/7 belt is one of the fucking best things that they've got right now going.
And that's gonna be defended in a mixed tag team match tonight on Raw with R-Truth and Carmelo versus Drake Maverick and his wife.
Exactly. His wife's, like, the storyline with Drake Maverick and his wife has been the most entertaining shit he has done. I have now almost forgotten about the fact that Big Show made him piss himself. Okay?
It's very true.
We've done.
Hold on. You know what? Speaking of your challenge, because I just pulled up my WWE Network account. Let's go back to 1994. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's see. Okay, today is July 29th.
Yep.
So it would be the August 1st edition of Monday Night Raw, because most likely this episode will drop tomorrow, Wednesday. So the next week will be the 3rd or 4th of August. So give or take. Okay. The August 1st edition of Monday Night Raw, 1994. The thing says the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels goes one-on-one with Razor Ramon. Todd Pentagale brings us the latest news on SummerSlam. Bull Nakano faces Alundra Blaze. And then for the women's title, and so on and so forth. The August 8th, 1994, which you could watch as well, because back then Raw was only an hour with commercials, but they don't have commercials, so there. Ted DiBiase and his Undertaker have set sight on SummerSlam. Leslie Nielsen is out to crack the case on the missing Undertaker. Tatanka joins forces with Doink the Clown to battle Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS. So essentially the Tatanka lead up to turn to join the $1 million corporation as well.
Okay, so you have Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon.
Yep.
Probably a great match. You have Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano. Probably a really great match. And then you follow it up the following week with Doink and Tatanka
taking on Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS.
Okay. And Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun.
Yep.
On green screen, searching for the Undertaker.
Yep.
Now tell me how wrestling on Raw with Ricochet versus AJ Styles, Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns, and Becky Lynch just being Becky Lynch is somehow shittier than Leslie Nielsen looking for the Undertaker.
It's
and Todd Pettengill. Don't forget Todd Pettengill.
Oh, yeah.
How's Todd Pettengill better than Renee Young?
Exactly.
People live in a weird fucking bubble.
And also, those Monday Night Raws, I guarantee you, most likely, because this was before Vince McMahon was Mr. McMahon, most likely the commentary team is Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler.
Yep, and do remember, this was, and let's be blunt here, kids. Let's not, fuck around. This was also less than a month removed from Bash at the Beach '94, where Hulk Hogan beat Ric Flair for the title, which was the biggest pay-per-view WCW had, the biggest buy rates they had. Oh, and by the way, wasn't this when the steroid trial was either almost over with or was over with after Hulk Hogan the week of Bash at the Beach '94 testified for in front of a grand jury about steroid distribution? Okay, this was not exactly the glory days of WWF, and the reason that I picked just 1994 right off the top is it was ticka 25 years ago.
Yep.
Okay. 25 years ago, this would have been talked about in a Meltzer dirt sheet, or this would have been talked about in like Pro Wrestling Illustrated, something like that.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter that would be sent, you'd be receiving in the mail if you were a member.
Yeah, and right now, thanks to the internet, we're talking about it on a podcast. But also, you have to think is that these guys are able to do running commentary and running ticker audio their thoughts are just out in the air on Twitter. It's like, to me, I'm not going to sit here and bitch about Monday Night Raw. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and bitch about SmackDown. I'm not going to sit here and bitch about AEW, because you know what? You're going to have bad shows. Okay, I watch The Walking Dead, religiously watch The Walking Dead, and for the last 3 seasons, I have had to hear everyone and their mother talk about how fucking shitty The Walking Dead has become. Meanwhile, I'm highly entertained by The Walking Dead. I see how great that show is, but I still have to listen to people bitch about how The Walking Dead sucks. Okay, do you watch The Walking Dead anymore? No. Then how the fuck do you know if it sucks?
That's with any show, and I'm not going to say anything about The Walking Dead, because I've never watched an episode of The Walking Dead ever. Have had no interest, just never did it. But like, you have shows like American Horror Story, you have shows like Archer, you have so many other TV shows that people watch that have watched from day one that say that same thing. Well, do you watch it anymore? When was the last time you watched? Oh, I last watched it at like the season 4 because that was the last season that was good. I'm like, then how do you know what's going on over the last 3 seasons?
Yeah. And to me, that's the thing, is that you have all of these options and you have all this stuff going on. It's like, guys, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. It's that simple. Like, if a pay-per-view looks like it's going to suck, I won't waste my time. I won't talk about the fact that, they only had 4,900 people in attendance at a pay-per-view. This is the end of WWE. It's like, nah, just maybe it wasn't a good pay-per-view.
And this is the thing, is before we head to break, is in today's age, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have Facebook, you have so on and so forth. People out there will instantly do live podcasts on that night's edition of Monday Night Raw and give their opinions and everything. Like, that's the age we live in. But the thing is 25 years ago, we didn't have that. So if you wanted to bitch about Leslie Nielsen in front of a green screen searching for The Undertaker, you couldn't. You had to go to a forum or a message board at that point when AOL was in the very early days of existence, with like AOL 3.0 or whatever, and type it up.
Oh my God, AOL 3.0. I forgot about that shit. But no, you're absolutely right. Like, not to like completely joke about it, but you're right. And to me, it goes back to this: if you want to just waste your life bitching and pissing and moaning about the glory days, okay, fine. Go watch those glory days and tell me. You can find me on Twitter at the Sergeant Fury. Tell me if the glory days were really that glorious.
And you know what? Honestly, I've done it. I haven't done it completely, but I've gone back a couple of times over the last, since the inception of the WWE Network. And I've gone back a couple of times and I've watched the old Monday Night Raws from the start. I've watched the old WCW Nitros from the start. Not every episode or whatever, and whatnot. And I've watched pay-per-views. Honestly, I've thought about having the idea of doing a live, feed of just picking a month of every month, just going through and watching those 4 shows, watching the pay-per-view, and just be thoughts or whatever, and do it on a live video or Twitter or whatever. Because honestly, the stuff that I've seen, oh my god, like you said, for every Stone Cold beer truck moment or Kurt Angle milk truck moment, you have the goobly gulp, you have nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the brilliance of it is that we like to remember the glory days for being glorious, not to rip off Bobby Roode. We like to remember them for being, heartwarming things, but it's not everything was that freaking great, for God's sakes. We remember Kai and Tai chopping off the pee-pee. But can you remember any matches that Taka Michinoku had?
Not many.
I'm at a loss trying to come up with one. I think didn't he have one against Gilbert?
I think him and Gilbert fought for the light heavyweight championship at one point.
Yeah, that's it. It's
and what's bad is you know what, you talk about Taka Michinoku. You know what? Look at when WWE introduces their foreign announced teams. Look who's on the Japanese foreign announced team.
Motherfucking
Funaki. You know what? Most people will just know Funaki as the announcer. A lot of people in this generation don't remember Funaki was part of Kai and Tai. Funaki used to be SmackDown #1 announcer.
Indeed.
They don't remember that. And this is the thing is, for hell, and they've talked about it on 83 Weeks. They've talked about it on What Happened When with Tony Schiavone. You go back to the one Halloween Havoc where Hulk Hogan and the Giant fought with monster trucks. The Giant fell off a roof, and 45 minutes later, he's in the wrestling ring.
Yep. No fucking sense.
Explain that. How is that any better than what's on today?
Well, I can explain it. They went down to Giants R Us, and they got themselves a new Giant. They just dusted him off and they just put him out there.
Yeah. It's honestly, when I rewatched that Halloween Havoc a couple of weeks ago, and literally when the Giant's hanging off the side, all I imagined was the scene from Mortal Kombat with Johnny Cage and Goro.
Oh my god, those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
That's all I'm at. I was instead of the Giant falling into the abyss, the Giant must have landed on a ledge and just was oh, hi, a window, I'm saved. But it's the thing of today, you're right. Today's generation of wrestling fans are spoiled. They have easy access to their favorite stars. They have easy access to content. They have easy access to everything. And this rolls into what we're going to be talking about next, where a lot of people within national wrestling and also the independents are going from using certain names to using their real personas.
Absolutely.
But that's gonna be on the other side of the break. We're gonna take a small break here, pay some sponsors for the Gear Network, take it back on the other side. We'll see you back in a minute.
What's up, Rock Soldiers? This is Robbie Vegas coming at you from the All Bets Are Off podcast. If you are into horror movies, the paranormal, professional wrestling, or music, this is the place for you. We're bringing you the latest and greatest interviews in all of the above: music, horror, and of course, professional wrestling. So tune in on the Gear Network. Check out All Bets Are Off. Rate us, like us, subscribe to us, leave us your comments, tell us what you think, and we'll catch you soon on the All Bets Are Off podcast, dropping every Sunday at noon.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Johnson, the Director of Promotions for the BICBP Radio Network, and I am happy to announce that in less than a week, this network will be presenting the very first ever Western New York PodCon Showcase on Saturday, August 3rd at 2176 Liberty Drive in Niagara Falls, New York, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, with only a $10 admission fee, you are free to come and go as you please throughout the day. Enjoy various live podcast recordings from shows just like this, as well as their tables, as well as other vendors, as well as seminars and trivia games with prizes. Make sure you come on, stop by, hang out with us, interact with us, meet us, and support your local podcasts.
And we're back here on the TTRP, Pat G, the G stands for Gangster, along with Fury of Films of Fury. You can get your little cheap pop in now.
You can find my sultry voice on Films of Fury and the Necrocasticon, both wherever you get your fine-ass podcast. Necrocasticon drops every Monday wherever you get your fine-ass podcast. And Films of Fury, my bi-weekly podcast, which talks about all things movies and entertainment, drops every Wednesday. So, enjoy that shit, Pat G. Enjoy it.
Oh, I do. I enjoy Films of Fury very much so. But you are listening to TTRP, Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, brought to you by Gear Network and, of course, ShopGear.com. You can find us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, and wherever else you find your fine-ass podcast at.
Cheap plug.
I gotta get them in sometimes.
Hey, I don't mind you stealing my shit as long as I'm on your show.
Exactly. That's generally when I steal people's shit, is when they're actually there. I don't do it behind their back.
Oh, thank God.
But
like 99% of all wrestling.
Yeah, basically. Anyways, we're switching gears a little bit and talking some independent stuff. And this past weekend on Twitter, a lot of because we've been talking about Twitter and the internet wrestling community, someone asked Jordan Grace, current Impact Wrestling star, that why have people recently, is there a reason wrestlers have started changing their displays names on Twitter to their real names? And Jordan Grace's response was transitioning into a new era where wrestlers can accept they're playing a character and don't have to live the gimmick, I imagine. And, of course, this was liked by a lot of people. And it led to some interesting other tags and everything. One being someone tagged Jim Cornette and sent it to Jim Cornette. And as much as I love Jim Cornette is very opinionated about a lot of things. Jim Cornette tweeted, translation, I've never been trained properly, taught respect for the business. I'm just a play wrestler who wants to be on reality TV. I don't have the talent or determination to make people believe in me and draw money. Just do moves. That's what whoever at Jordan Grace is just said. Now, of course, Jordan Grace had a response to that, was the sooner we stop trying to make wrestling something that's not, the better. I know I'm ready to respect the common sense of fans. I was trained by people who have the same mindset as Jim, but I want wrestling to excel in today's current modernization of it. And then, of course, this led to Lance Storm and Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Apollo Creed, getting into it and having a very long, very respectable discussion. and everything. And you can probably find it on Twitter, whether you follow Xavier Woods or Lance Storm or Jordan Grace, you can find it on Twitter. The discussion itself was very long and very respectful between the three. Now, the thing with Jordan Grace's response to Jim Cornette, she's not wrong. Because as we talked about in the first thing, wrestling is not what wrestling used to be.
No. Once again, I will go back to The Undertaker has an Instagram account.
Yep. and uses hashtags.
And The Undertaker uses hashtags. I mean, I laugh every time I see The Undertaker posting something that isn't a WWE photo, like him just chilling in a Bruce Lee hoodie. Okay, like, my Undertaker has the same hoodie that I do. That kind of broke down the wall. But, so, she's not right. Or she's not wrong, I should say. And neither is Jim Cornette.
Oh, okay, absolutely.
Allow me, because I know someone's going to be like, well, what do you mean? Well, let me just say this. She is trained, okay? I've seen her on shows that I have been on. She was on Dynasty's all-women's show last year, Diamonds, Diamonds Are Forever. She is a top-notch performer. All of the credit in the world to her. She goes by her real name on Twitter, and she also has her gimmick name. And the reason why is that she's willing to accept the fact that she's portraying a character. I mean, how many documentaries has WWE produced over the last, my God, let's go with 2002 when they started really using the library of WWE, of all the companies they acquired. Okay, when they started talking about Terry Bollea growing up to be, Hulk Hogan, or when they talk about Richard Flyer being Ric Flair. And when they talk about all these performers, they talk about their real names. I mean, how many times have we heard Fergal Devitt referred to as Fergal Devitt on WWE programming? You're going to tell me that he's untrained and that he sucks? I think that Jim Cornette sees it as an investment in your character. You are not breaking character, much like an actor wouldn't break character while filming a movie. I do see where he has this idea where when you're in character, you never break character. You're in character all the time.
Yeah.
Yes and no, because look at the way that was done. That was extremely problematic for people on many levels, emotionally, spiritually. I mean, the separation of that yourself from that person when all is said and done, it has been very difficult for a lot of professional wrestlers, and it's caused strain on a lot of them. I mean, let's be honest, a while ago we had a Gawker trial where Hulk Hogan had to say that, no, Hulk Hogan has a big penis, brother, but Terrible Leia's penis is rather normal.
Yeah.
You're referring to yourself in the third person while talking about your pecker in a trial, $120 million paid out trial. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's the world we live in.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. And Xavier Woods, Apollo Creed, he joined in on this conversation, and he talked about how he's using the name Apollo Creed on Up, Up, Down, Down. Shout out to Up, Up, Down, Down. Samoa Joe, the Up, Up, Down, Down Championship. Respect the power game. But he talked about how he's building that brand using Apollo Creed because Xavier Woods only has a certain lifespan. Because the WWE owns Xavier Woods. So he's like, my time at Xavier Woods is going to end eventually, but then I want to have something that I've built a brand that's different from that, hence the Apollo Creed.
And it's very successful because E3, he always has a booth for Up, Up, Down, Down.
Yep.
Once again, shout out Up, Up, Down, Down. You know, his internet web show has 1 million subscribers.
1.95.
1.95.
Because
So
he's on a promotion tour right now for Up and Down, that if they get 2 million subscribers on the YouTube channel, you will get a special Superstar save point with Triple H.
You know, and Triple H loved, if I remember, the knee move came from Street Fighter 2 that he used to play with his nephew, and he liked it so much he stole it and made it a wrestling move that he uses today.
They just, when they broke 1.95 subscribers, you got a special one with Ronda Rousey of hit her and Xavier playing Turtles in Time. And talking about her love of Ninja Turtles and everything.
That makes me want to marry her even more. But I digress from my internet fantasies of Ronda Rousey. So I look at
By the way, she started as a Michelangelo fan, but then became a Donatello fan.
Because of the Mo staff? Or the electric effects?
The fact that he could fight and he was intelligent.
That's me, and I'm a little chunky, so I'm Michelangelo too. Look at this is going off the rails because we mentioned Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pat Roddy for Ninja Turtles. So, all right, now Lance Storm grew up in that era. I mean, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He understands Cornette's perspective on this. And he has trained numerous professional wrestlers. I mean, he's got a great dojo. And one of the things is it's like, even he has to understand, like, while Cornette's viewpoint is old school and it worked for its time, it's not necessarily needed all the time. Like, Edge always, he talked about in his documentary, he introduced himself as Adam because he knew he was going to have a life outside of him.
Absolutely.
It's like you don't want to hold on to it when it's gone. And I'm sure that, Xavier Woods, when his time has come, he's going to have a video game, following still, because video games are not going away, and it's always nice to have a nerd represent. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's kind of funny that people would even be. It's funny that we live in a world where this has to be an issue. Like, I remember back in the day, like, if you ever heard of a wrestler, I'm from upstate New York. I grew up fucking 20 minutes away from Glens Falls, New York. Who came from Glens Falls, New York? Fucking Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho!
Yep.
I can throw a rock and hit someone who knows someone or knows Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's that kind of an area where people talk about, Hacksaw in high school, playing football, and Hacksaw's dad was police chief, and, I was in Hacksaw's math class in the 8th grade. It's like, my 4th grade fucking math teacher was on the football team with Hacksaw and knew Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned Lance Storm, of course, and like I said, Lance Storm responded to this thread or whatever, and Lance Storm posed the thing of legit question: how does interacting with fans under a different name than they know you by modernize the business? Pink interacts with fans as Pink. Many entertainers have professional names they use in public, not just wrestlers. In my opinion, using two names just creates confusion. And then of course, Jordan Grace came back. She's like, I also said to create two different profiles if you want to interact with fans in character. Ultimately, wrestlers should have the freedom to do whatever they want with zero judgment from wrestlers who don't necessarily agree with their specific way of doing things. And then, of course, it went into more and more. Now, the thing with the two different names, okay? You see this a lot. There are a lot of people out there that have their quote unquote real profiles on Facebook. And then, of course, they have, when Facebook changed things, but a couple of years ago, you had two profiles. You had your real one, but then you had your wrestling one. Now you just have fan pages.
Yeah.
But it's now to a point where on that independent scene thing, and especially in Buffalo, okay? Especially in Buffalo, and I'm going to use going to use Buffalo as the example. You have a lot of guys in Buffalo. You have a Kevin Bennett. You have a Daniel Garcia. You have a Sebastian Braun. You have a Hellcat. You have Dick Justice. You have a lot of people that wrestle in the Western New York area that do live here in Buffalo and Rochester. So yes, you may be a wrestling fan, but you also can see them out in real life. It's not just like you out in real life. You see the WWE superstars when they're in your town. If you go to a late night restaurant, guaranteed you're going to run into somebody. It's just the thing of nowadays on the independents, it's a lot of people, and even within the national scene, a lot of people are realizing that wrestling isn't forever. So if I have extra things that I want to be into, like Xavier Woods with his video games, I want to build a brand outside of something that I don't really own. Where the independent scene, yes, you own it. You own the name, the character, and everything until you get to a point where you sign rights over or whatnot. But you still want to have your own personal life away from the character you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, we all know people who did both. It's like, have your real one, but then have your social media thing. It's that whole branding concept. Like, yeah. I can remember having this conversation in 2012. It's like, first off, I could barely function on Facebook anyway. This was before memes and all that other shit were popular. But it's like, you need to create a brand. You need your page, and you need your fan page, and you need to hype your page, your fan, your wrestling page on your regular page. It's like, why not just hype out? No, you want to separate the two. It's like, but everyone kind of knows. You know what I mean? Like, I never got that.
Yeah.
But it's like, maybe had I never had a Facebook to begin with, and just done, like, I know dudes like Fox Vineyard. But then again, also, Fox Vineyard posts, like, gym selfies, and he'll talk about the movies he's going to go see, and all this other stuff, and he'll talk about the wrestling shows he's going to be at. His Facebook page isn't him. It's, it's his wrestling gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, it's that. So for me, the way that I view it is, it's like, if someone wants to go by their real name on social media, so what? You know what I mean? It's like, if they want to provide that whole veil where it's like, you don't need to wonder what my real name is. This is it.
Yeah.
You talk to me like a real human being. Maybe that's what helps her, or helps many of these people get through, is it's like, you can get lost in a character. Kind of like you hear about great actors getting lost in the character that they portray or portray. You have Kit Harington just went to rehab.
Yep.
Not because of alcohol or drugs.
Because of playing Jon Snow for 8 years.
Yeah, he needed to learn how to separate himself because he got depressed that this thing that he was a part of for 8 years is suddenly gone.
That's why you look at Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe went as soon as Harry Potter ended. Yes, he did a couple of movies after the fact, but he went and did musicals and theater shows in England to get away from that Harry Potter aspect.
And now it's like Daniel Radcliffe, when I think about it, it's like, you have Emma Watson doing Disney movies. You have Harry Radcliffe doing, horror movies, for fuck's sake. Like, he's the dude I want to see one of the dudes I want to see as Wolverine. It's like, you have these actors that get so attached to a role. Robert Downey Jr. is a perfect example of this. He just ended his run as Iron Man this year, and he wants to get far away from the character.
He's like, I want to go back to playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, like, he's like, can I be Sherlock Holmes again? Can I just do something that has nothing to do with arc reactors and superheroes and capes? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them wanting to do this. Maybe this is these wrestlers' way of maybe rebelling against that system that's told them, you need to be your character 24/7.
Yeah, and prime example, and maybe not really on the same wavelength, but kind of on this. Look at a guy that's been in the WWE system for a bunch of years now that has changed his character a couple times in Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
He went from Husky, like when he started, he was IRS's son. He was who he was. And then he was Husky Harris, and then Husky Harris went away, and you had Bray Wyatt, and then Bray Wyatt came and then went away for a little. Now you still have Bray Wyatt, but you have a different iteration of Bray Wyatt. You still have Bray Wyatt, but then you have this darker side.
And the funny part is that he'll still post stuff as Wyndham Rotundo.
Yep.
You know, it's like, why do I know that Bray Wyatt's name is Wyndham? Why as a wrestling fan, do I know that, his baby's godfather is fucking Adam Callahan, who, oh, by the way, is like Braun Strowman.
Yep.
Why am I listening to the Joe Rogan podcast and hearing Braun Strowman's real name getting mentioned? And it's like, oh yeah, he's a wrestler in WWE, Braun Strowman. He's one of the biggest tough men, what do they call them? Tough men?
Strong man or whatever.
Strong man, yeah. He's one of the best strongman competition people you'll ever see. He's a pro wrestler now. He followed his dream. It's like, why the fuck do I know his real name? It's like, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, he could have his Braun Strowman thing, but instead he literally has his. Why? Because he had a life before WWE, and chances are he'll have a life after WWE.
And granted, yes, it was a WrestleMania moment that may not have worked out, but the WrestleMania John Cena proposed to Nikki Bella. He didn't use Nikki Bella. He used her legitimate real name.
Yeah.
Because that was a real life moment within the WWE universe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had these things where like the veil was pulled down anyway. Why people are so shocked that it's like, oh my God, this person changed their Twitter to, Rebecca Quinn. What's going on? Is she jumping ship? I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
It's like they think if you start using your real name, all of a sudden you're going to be jumping ship to a new company.
Which goes back to the first part of the show when we were talking about Jim Ross turning down the offer to return for Raw Reunion. He's like, people on the internet within social media are going to try to read something there that's not there.
And exactly. And to me, this is all, this is kind of like, I hate to say my final thoughts on it, but this is kind of like to sum up my thought process. WWE for 15 years now has been doing documentaries on their professional wrestlers using their real names.
Yep.
Okay? It's nothing new. It's just they're doing it on social media and they're giving a reason why they're doing it. If someone wants to say, okay, this is dumb and this is ruining the sacred rules of professional
the veil,
wrestling, and it's ruining the veil and it's ruining the character. The Undertaker uses hashtags.
That pretty much sums it up right there. Like, that's it. But that's the show. Little less time than last time, but still long enough. By the way, I think your prediction might come true because the club is in a triple threat tag team championship match right now.
It would be long overdue for them to get their belts back, but I hate to say this because I hate to be that person making predictions about WWE and all that other stuff. If the full club versus the Undisputed Era does not happen at WrestleMania, I will be very disappointed in WWE.
You know what? Honestly, I would totally agree with you because when they put AJ Styles back with Anderson and Gallows, and they were doing the OC and whatnot, I was like, you know what? Finn Balor has been faced long enough. Turn Finn, Undisputed Era at Mania. That's what I want.
Yeah, and one of the thoughts that I have going into it is, if the Fiend beats regular Finn Balor at SummerSlam,
yep,
we'll be okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
If the Fiend beats the Demon King Finn Balor at SummerSlam, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Well, it's already. I know we're kind of rolling a little late here, but from what it's been reported, it's just Finn Balor. The Demon King is not going to be at SummerSlam.
Good, because if they have Finn Balor lose as the Demon King, he hasn't lost yet in WWE.
Yeah, I feel like the Demon King is like something that Finn Balor pulls out when he absolutely needs to.
And so far, I think that he doesn't need to for this.
No, not at all. It's especially the fact that it's already been confirmed that Finn Balor is taking 2 months off after SummerSlam.
Well, didn't he get engaged?
I believe he got engaged, and also he wants to rest some injuries.
Yeah, because his arm's been fucking with him, and so is his shoulder since the coming back. So you know what? He deserves to get beat and to take some time off.
So it's basically they're doing it to kind of put the Bray Wyatt fiend over, but also give a reason why Balor has left for however long he's going to be gone.
He can always come back at Survivor Series as the Demon King and take him out.
Yeah, exactly. Or turn heel and join the club.
Even better. you know me.
Yeah, predictions and stuff.
Out there.
But that's going to do it for us and the TTRP. I'd like to thank Sergeant Fury for joining me once again, being upgraded to a semi-regular host.
Yeah.
But for Fury, I'm Pat G. This has been the TTRP, and we're out.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.